Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to another episode of Builder Nation. This time, we're joined by a company that is reshaping the future of community development with their novel materials, precision manufacturing, and state-of-the-art technology. And we're building more resilient, durable, environmentally friendly houses, the houses of the future, as some people call it. I like to call it that way. Please give a warm welcome to Palari and their CEO, Basil Starr. Basil, thank you very much for joining us today. Could you please introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, Sam. Thank you very much. Nice to be here. I'm Basil Starr, the founder and CEO of Palari, and we are a technology-driven builder of sustainable homes and communities.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for that very brief interview. Sorry, over here. All right. So first of all, let's go ahead and start off with before we hit it off with what you do, with what Palari does, and everything. I want to make sure we know a little bit more about you. You come from the real estate world. You have a lot of mastery in aspects such as, for example, real estate, house building, house commercialization. What fired up that desire of building like really end-to-end sustainable community?
Absolutely. I've been in real estate as well as supply chain management for over 20 years now. And I started out my career working for large companies. I first worked for JP Morgan, then Morgan Stanley on the real estate side. So that's how I learned the real estate business. And then later on, also I kind of growing from being a professional, became an entrepreneur. I started a company that I grew and sold in a similar space. And then most recently, I started renovating homes and building new ADUs in California. And ADUs came about 3 years ago when California made a new law allowing these to be built on any single family lot. And so we started in that space initially, building ADUs and renovating homes. And I started a construction company to do that. Now, after doing it for a few months, actually, as soon as a few months, I noticed just the amount of inefficiency and waste that traditional construction produces. And I've always been interested in sustainability my whole life. And so when I saw that really the world is finally moving towards sustainability and decarbonization across all industries, we see it in the auto industry and electrification of transportation. But nothing was happening in real estate. And real estate contributes 30% to global carbon emissions. Part of that is the construction side. That's very dirty, inefficient. And part of that is the operation of homes that uses a lot of energy. And so what I wanted to do is really build the first community that will be on the cutting edge of sustainability in terms of both construction and operation. And that's why we focused on 3D printing for our construction and making all our homes net zero energy, so powered by renewable energy, solar, to have that operation going forward be carbon neutral.
That's actually pretty amazing. Now that you already mentioned more or less how this goes all end to end, right? From 3D printing, manufacturing, all the way to solar powers. I noticed that actually that is the main thing. Your Palari homes, they use less energy by featuring Tesla solar. They also have a power wall, an EV charger in case the owners have electric vehicles. And they have superior insulation technology and also wellness intelligence by Delos. Could you please explain to us how this whole house, how this whole technology is shaping up to be, like in a single house, much more efficient than versus a regular house? How does all?
Well, first of all, we call it an electric house, just like an electric car, because we don't bring gas to our developments, so everything is electric in the home. Plus we add, in addition to solar, which generates power, we add battery backup, which makes it a microgrid effectively, and add EV chargers, because nowadays, obviously, more and more people have EVs, and going forward, that EVs will replace, traditional gas vehicles. So the entire house is fully electric, and the power is supplied by a renewable source, and that was the goal for us. And we see a lot of people are very excited and very receptive to this new type of home. And we're very excited to launch this community, which we did actually just last week. and build a lot more of these, because we see that as really as a groundbreaking, first community that will show not just the consumers, but also developers and everybody, in the ecosystem, that it can be done, and it should be done going forward.
I agree, it should be done going forward. And actually, before we finally move into the heavy duty hardware engineering aspects of all of this, I want to ask you from your perspective. I mean, your mission is offering modern, beautiful, sustainable, affordable homes, right? How is this mission affecting the real estate industry forever, basically? How is it doing?
Well, I think for one is that we're being talked about. And when we first announced our community, we've been featured in over 300 publications worldwide, and received tremendous interest from consumers and buyers, in these types of homes. And it's initially kind of a niche market about 2 years ago. That's consumers who were specifically interested in sustainability, but they were already interested in sustainability in all areas of their life. Whereas now it's starting to really come to the mainstream, and regular consumers who haven't thought about it are discovering that this is a new option, this is a possibility, and how it can really affect them, because it's not just the environment that we're trying to save. We're also improving the living environment for people who live in these homes, and providing energy independence and energy security, which is very important as well.
Right, I agree with that. It's actually very important. Thank you very much for sharing all of that. Now, I want to jump straight into the tech that you use, right? Just for your information to anybody who's viewing out there, Basil is going to show us around one of his actual houses. But before we jump into that part, before that, I want also to dive a little deeper into a bit more of the hardware aspects of all this. First of all, I wanted to ask precisely about the solar power that you use, right? The solar generation. You make sure everything is electric, and you incorporate these, the Tesla power and the Powerwalls and everything within each of these individual houses. However, you build the whole communities. So my question here is, why did you choose individual energy generation systems rather than a shared solar garden for the whole community?
Several reasons. So one is just the community size. So the first community that we're building is 20 homes. Typically, a shared power, like a solar farm, for a community would require a larger size of the community. So that's one reason. And the second reason is that it also gives independence to the individual homeowner, how they can operate and manage their own energy.
Right. Well, that actually does make perfect sense, especially the part of the size. I recognize it's something that I didn't know, that it really required a larger size. So thank you very much for sharing all of that to us. Now, I want to jump into a different side of your tech, which is, you mentioned in the beginning that you use a lot of 3D printing, or additive manufacturing, as it is known nowadays for the industrial components on your houses. How does Palari ensure the quality and structural integrity of these components, and what advantages are there to these technology compared to traditional construction?
Absolutely. So we're specifically in terms of 3D printing, we are using a manufacturer called Mighty Buildings. And they have gone through a lot of testing, for this material. And specifically, these homes were, first of all, designed by a world-renowned architectural firm, UIRC. And all the structural and engineering was done by also a very large world-renowned firm called Bureau Happold. They're a major international engineering firm. And so from the structural point of view, from the very beginning, it was designed to be the most structurally sound house in California. And specifically in California, we have earthquakes. And so homes have to be especially structurally sound, to be able to withstand earthquakes. And that's what we've done from the very beginning. So the panels themselves are structural, but in addition to that, because it's the first time of deployment of this material and technology, these panels are encapsulated in steel. So there's that additional steel reinforcement. And I would say on the first round, it was actually an overkill in terms of structural integrity, because each panel weighs almost 2 tons. And literally, when you walk into the house, it's the noise insulation is so superior, you can't hear anything that's going on outside. It's almost like a bomb shelter. And so it's an added bonus to kind of buyers buying these first homes, because obviously going forward, the next ones we won't make it as stringent, and as much of a steel reinforcement as we're doing in the first round. But this is how we've handled it, and like I mentioned, because it is the first one, we just took that extra mile to make sure that the city and everybody else understood that what we're building here is above and beyond what's required.
That's actually pretty cool. I did not expect that. So thank you very much for sharing. Follow-up question with this: Does this do these tests for the for the structure and the stability and everything? Do they also interfere with, for example, how these materials are gonna withhold the environmental issues, rain, maybe fires? Because in California, it's known to be ashy fires, etc. Like, are these the same tests used, or did you and Mighty Buildings also work with different maybe coatings or something, make sure that these materials resist weather conditions, harsh weather conditions?
Yeah, so initially when the material was first designed and invented, there are a lot of tests, done on the material to make sure that it kind of complies with all the codes and performs, accordingly, and we can expect how the material will perform. And what's really interesting is, first of all, it's a stone composite. It's a synthetic material that looks and feels like stone. And it's made with predominantly recycled materials. There's recycled glass and a few other things in there. And the material itself, by its nature, is actually fire retardant. So a lot of significantly, and that's also, as you know, very important in California with all the fires that we have here.
Right. Actually, that's very clever. Thank you very much for sharing that with me. It's great to know that besides the whole electric part, there's also a lot of sustainability incorporated in recycling.
And just to add to that as well, as far as the benefit to consumer and to the occupant of a home going forward, is that traditionally all homes are made using wood frame construction, especially in California.
Yes.
Now, what happens with wood is that over time it starts to deteriorate, and it's subject to termites. Whenever you have a leak in the home, you have mold developing immediately. And so issues with mold and termites are very typical to traditionally wood framed homes, whereas this is not an issue for us going forward. So these homes are waterproof, they're fireproof effectively, and no termite is going to want to eat this material. So definitely no termites.
That's amazing. No food for termites. What else do people want, right? That's pretty cool. Thank you very much for sharing that. Following this same path, because you handle a lot of prefabrication as well, what level of customization is possible for each project, while of course still maintaining the benefits of these off-site prefab for these 3D printing panels?
Yeah, so the customization is also really affected by permitting. And so all the traditional homes are kind of, they're built on site, and they go through a certain permitting process. So the floor plan, the structural engineering, everything needs to be, approved, beforehand.
Right.
So in order to speed up, kind of deployment of our homes, we do not customize the floor plans too much. So we offer effectively off-the-shelf, floor plans, different versions maybe of the same floor plan, different floor plans. And then we allow customers to customize the interiors, specifically, kitchens, floors, cabinets, things like that. So you can pick your colors, your level of finishes. On the exterior, also, what's possible is that even with the same floor plan, you can have different colors, different textures, because you could 3D print very different things. And kind of, in fact, in the next project that we have in Rancho Mirage, we're going to have what's called parametric 3D panels. And these are panels that can have any types of designs and textures on the exterior. So that can really add a very unique kind of look, to each individual.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, I wanted to ask this mainly because I have been seeing a lot of the photos and videos that you've taken of your communities that are already constructed. I mean, they look amazing, but it is true. I didn't really consider the fact that the outside of it, people can also typically, choose how to do it, paint it, etc. This also triggers another question for me, which is going forward. I know your houses are very, very new, and I'm pretty sure they have an effective lifetime before maintenance is required of years. I can understand that, but in terms of precisely this maintenance, um, how easy is it gonna be for a person to maybe modify their house, give maintenance to the electric part of it, to the maybe painting? How easy is it with these specific materials that you use on these panels?
So it's actually, it should be, in terms of the level of maintenance, it would be lower than on a traditional home, just because of the advanced materials and type of construction that we do. And we're actually making it easier for homeowners. We are effectively providing an online portal. We partnered with a company that does that, to allow homeowners to maintain their home online. So effectively, it's a online blueprint to their home and everything that the home has. And allows homeowners to schedule maintenance in advance, to reach out to vendors that we recommend, or they can onboard their own vendors if they like, and making that experience of owning home a lot simpler, because most of us really don't know how to operate a home. And if we buy a home in the market, it doesn't come with a manual. You kind of have to figure it out, and you have to call a bunch of handymans and just really know what to do when it comes to maintenance. But we're going to make it an automatic. It's effectively like you have an online manual for your home where you could pre-schedule certain things and make it easier.
That's pretty cool. I'm one of those that has to call a professional for everything. So it's amazing that you have this platform that I assume from plumbing to electric needs to whatever, it's all gonna be there. That's pretty cool. Do you have in plans in the future any plans or additional customization? Maybe somebody wants to build another floor. Maybe somebody wants to expand a garage. Is this something in the plan or possible for a homeowner?
It is, yeah. So we're planning for that right now, and specifically because of the type of construction we do, it's panelized. So imagine a wall consists of a number of panels.
Right.
And in order to change the floor plan, you could simply, add more panels, to, let's say, increase the size of that room, or maybe add a room, to a house. So it's all possible. And because it's done in a modular fashion, it's actually simpler and faster, to do it. So we are definitely thinking forward, and in terms of how these homes can be customized.
Right, that's pretty cool. That was one of the main things that I wanted to ask. Also, going back a little bit into this professional sort of pool that you have, right, in your software, in your platform, for homeowners to just simply, hey, I have an issue with this, click, and somebody's going to go to their house. Because of the type of technology that you handle, do you also have to have a specific set of professionals, or do you have to train these professionals for your specific houses, or can anybody with experience maybe in home maintenance, in painting, in plumbing or whatever, can anybody with that experience go and work on your houses, or do they need this specific additional training?
Actually, any experienced contractor could do it, following the manual. And we make it very simple, because also, for example, each panel and each component would have a QR code where they could scan it, and it tells them exactly, where it should go, how it should connect. And so we making things a lot more modern and simple for contractors to understand. But of course, initially, we are offering our homeowners preferred vendors that are already familiar with the technology and can just kind of come in and do things right away, because they know how things work.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Everybody loves automation. I'm one of those. So it's incredible that every little piece has these QR codes. I didn't expect that, but that's amazing to know. Thank you very much for sharing that. Now, I want to move forward into a more general overview of your company, right? Which is that you have multiple locations. You have communities scattered throughout California. I would assume that the weather is mostly consistent through all of those, but maybe not so much the requirements and the pretty much the laws that surround it. So, how much did you have to adapt to each of these locations before you could actually start and work on these communities, build them?
Yeah, so we're mostly operating in Southern California right now, so pretty similar climate zones, and that's why kind of we've designed everything for here. Now, going into different climate zones, it's not that challenging for us because, as we mentioned earlier, the materials and the homes, are very energy efficient and thermally insulated. So going to colder climates, it's just as easy as being in a hot climate. It's still, you have the same level of insulation in terms of homes. The one change would be in certain climates where it snows, for example, a lot. We would do a different type of roof. We'd do a pitched roof instead of a flat roof that we currently have.
Right.
We initially went with a mid-century modern architecture in terms of architecture. And that's really popular, especially here where we're building in Coachella Valley. Mid-century modern architecture comes from Palm Springs. And so that's what we focused on it. And we kind of perfectly fit in with the environment as far as the aesthetic. Going to other locations, obviously, we may want to change the design a little bit to fit in better into that location.
That's amazing. I mean, I did expect that there was not going to be a lot of differences, but also not being an expert myself, it's pretty cool how you already think of everything, such as, for example, the snow that it has own, so it's for it. Pretty cool. Thank you very much for that. Now I want to actually to ask you, not necessarily a lot about the hardware, but also a little bit more about what it takes to build all of these houses, right? I mean, procurement, supply chain, vendor management. All of this is honestly a very, very big deal. Sometimes it's a lot to manage, and you as a CEO, I'm pretty sure you sometimes battle with it. How do you keep track of all of these aspects of business while making sure that construction is on time, that launching is on time? How do you do it?
Well, you're correct. So with a home, there are a lot of different parts and materials that go into making a home. It's depending on the type of home, it could be in the hundreds in terms of SKUs of various different materials. And imagine trying to keep track of all of that, and especially in the traditional construction where all of these materials get delivered on site and then worked on site. That's why traditional construction is very inefficient, and it's always delayed, and it always kind of ends up being over cost and over budget and a longer time frame. With us, what we really focus on is what we call a hybrid construction. And what we mean by hybrid is that it's optimizing offsite and onsite. So in terms of the home structures, everything is prefabricated offsite and then delivered onsite and assembled. Certain things are added on site. And so the way that we look at it, it's kind of a matrix almost, where we try to optimize what is best to be prefabricated and what is best to be done on site. And that's how we're able to increase our construction speed by 2 times. So we're basically building 50% faster than traditional construction. And our construction site is zero waste. So in a few minutes, when I walk out and show you the house, you'll see also the rest of our construction site, because we built 3 homes so far and the rest are ongoing. And
Wow.
It's completely different from what you would see in any other construction site.
I honestly can't wait. And I believe that we've already painted a good enough picture of your communities, of your houses, of the shape, of the style. Please take us on that tour, Basil.
All right.
Let's go.
Excuse me for a second. It's going to be shaky, but I'm going to walk outside our model home and give you a tour.
All right. So just to be clear, you mentioned that this is the first out of 3 houses in this new site that you have built. There are more on the go, right?
Correct. So let me change the camera here 1 second.
Of course. Look at that.
So this is our first home. That's 3D printed 2-bedroom, 2-bath home. That's about 1,200 square feet. What we have on the site here is a carport that has solar panels on top of it. And as you can see, my car, they're charging currently as we speak.
Nice.
And just to give you an overview, if you look down here, that's where we have the rest of the homes that are currently in various stages of construction.
Okay, I can see.
See you later. You can see here up top, we that was our construction managers waving goodbye to me. This right here, you'll see actually these metal sheets.
Yes.
Those are roof cassettes. That's how our roofs are built.
Okay.
So that is the most materials that you would see on site, whereas everything else is just a clear site. And because that's our construction trailer, and then we've got no other waste here.
Wow. That's actually pretty cool. And also the aesthetics of the houses are really, really, really cool. Now you mentioned that you, oh, sorry, yes?
No, I was going to say, I can walk through the house as well inside so you could see what the interiors look like.
That would be amazing. Yes, please.
Okay,
Now,
so
while
first, I'll bring you closer to the wall, to the panel.
Okay.
So you can see these little ridges here.
Yeah.
Those are individual 3D printed layers.
Individual.
Yes. And this could be done in any texture. Now we wanted to leave it as is and exposed because we've got a lot of feedback that it looks very interesting and very different. And you could really kind of see that it's different type of construction, 3D printed versus traditional.
Wow.
We have
Okay.
desert landscaping here, so it's very efficient as far as water consumption.
Very clever. Okay, this looks nice.
So we've got 9-foot ceilings throughout, 9.5 feet actually. So very spacious, lots of volume. That's the kitchen.
Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, I can see it's pretty spacious, as you mentioned. It's pretty big. I also see there's sort of a yard, or is that more like a shared garden?
That's the backyard. Now I'll get there in a second. I just want to finish this house. This is the 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Okay.
So let's see, that's one of the bedrooms. You see a telescope here because we are located in the desert. There's no light pollution. And one thing that visitors love to do here is look at the stars. And
that's amazing.
We here at our development each house has views of the mountains. So that's another added benefit, is having spectacular views.
Okay, yeah, I mean, they are spectacular. I can tell, I can vouch for that. Okay. Oh, okay. That bathroom looks really nice. Could you talk us a little bit more about the efficiency of these bathrooms in terms of the water disposal?
Well, so first of all, something to mention about the bathroom is that this bathroom is fully prefabricated in a factory and dropped into the house as a pod. We call it a bathroom pod.
Wow. Pretty cool. I didn't know that was a thing.
It is, and it's very high quality in terms of finishes and precision of manufacturing, because we're comparing here manufacturing precision versus on-site construction. Imagine when traditional way you have to put all the tiles and everything by hand. Obviously, it's not as precise as when it's done in the factory. That's
totally understandable. That's the second bathroom. You mentioned this is a two-bedroom. Right. All right. We are looking great. I can see the bathrooms are pretty much the same, if I'm not mistaken. I assume because they are prefabricated in the same factory or from the same vendor.
Correct, yes.
Are they the same throughout all of the different houses that you provide, maybe with more bedrooms or
we do different finishes, as I mentioned, in terms of customization. This particular development and community have a unique factor to it, so we are allowed to do short-term rentals in our development. And so our buyers here specifically are interested in our homes, not just as a home to live in, but predominantly as an investment opportunity to be able to rent it out, through Airbnb and short-term rental platforms to generate income. Something that a lot of cities are kind of outlawing or making it difficult, but we are allowed to do in our community. This right here is the backyard. So the first structure that you saw is 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Okay.
We also have a second structure in the back that's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath structure. So in total, we have 4-bed, 3-bath. It's connected by a pergola, and we have a nice backyard, outdoor area in between. We found that it's actually specifically during the pandemic, this type of design became more popular because it allows for separation of space. So you have two structures on the same lot, and it allows for separation of space when larger families live together, or if somebody wants to live in the main house, rent out the back house, gives the owner a lot of flexibility.
Okay,
we've got a swimming pool here.
Okay. Now all of this, let's remember, it's one construction, it's one house. So the entire construction.
Correct.
All right. Yeah.
I was just gonna say this lot is 9,500 square feet, so it's a very good sized lot. That's why we have enough space here for 2 houses, a swimming pool, and an outdoor area.
Wow, that's amazing. And everything can be given maintenance through your platform, through your software. Because I mean, I'm already seeing there are some ACs, there's the pool, there's the gardening. So everything is through that platform. That's really cool. Thank you very much for that tour. It's honestly amazing. You mentioned that you rent this a lot for Airbnbs, for example. How far or how close is it to the next, I don't know, like city or community?
Well, we're about 10 minutes from Palm Springs and 15-20 minutes from Coachella, where Coachella Music Festival is taking place. So Coachella Valley generally has a lot of tourism, and a lot of it is driven by major events like Coachella Music Festival that's only growing and growing. And so we're in a good position here to really address kind of the tourism market, as well as the local home market.
I agree. It's actually pretty cool that location. Are all of your communities sort of in a location kind of the same, like in
yeah, so our second community is in Rancho Mirage. It's a more a premier location, I would say. Rancho Mirage is kind of like Beverly Hills of the Coachella Valley, and so those homes are going to be bigger and more luxurious and more expensive, for that reason, just to fit into that market. And then we have another community in La Quinta, also in the same kind of geographical location, Coachella Valley. And then we're building custom homes. So we recently started a custom home division where we're building homes for individual clients. And our first homes that we're building are in Joshua Tree. And then we have a few coming up in Los Angeles area as well.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't really know that you were doing this individual sort of contractual thing. That's actually pretty cool. Now, you mentioned earlier in the interview that you cut the time of construction in half, right? So this community that you're building right now, you mentioned it's 3 houses already constructed, already built. How many houses is it gonna be in total, and by when do you expect it to be?
So it's going to be 20 houses in total, and it'll be finished by the end of this year. And typically, when you look at a single house, it would take 10 to 12 months to build a single house. We're building it in 4 months, so even more than 50% faster.
Wow, I did not expect it to be so soon. Like it's already second half of the year, and you're already gonna finish. That's amazing. So thank you very much for sharing all of that. I do have one last question. Well, not last question, but I want to address the topic of your houses a little more, of your community, sorry, a little more, which is you have an achievement. You have a really cool achievement as Palari, right? Which is that you developed the world's first 3D printing zero net energy community throughout everything. Could you please tell us more about this achievement, the main challenges of this first community you built, and the impact that it had in society and in the industry as a whole?
Yeah, firstly, as far as I just want to mention, as far as 3D printing, I mean, it's not entirely new. We have seen kind of 3D printing for many years now, and certainly in other industries first. And in terms of housing, probably the last few years. And what has been done is that other builders have built maybe one home, a few homes, using 3D printing technology. What we attempted to do is to build a whole community and at the same time make it a net zero energy community. And that is something in combination that is unique on a worldwide scale. And that is the reason why we have gotten so much interest and attention, because we're doing something very different from the rest of the building industry.
It is definitely very, very new. And how was it received by the industry that you built this unique location, this unique community?
Well, at first it was I got to be honest, it was challenging. It was challenging in terms of permitting initially to convince the city. First time we submitted our plans, they were just dumbfounded. They didn't know what 3D printing was. They were asking all kinds of questions, but luckily we had the top architectural firm, engineering firm who have done the work here. So obviously they're became comfortable with everything that we provided them. Right. But it's an education curve. You have to educate the building officials. You have to educate subcontractors. Now, we are a general contractor on the project, so we do a lot of the work in-house and ourselves. And so that's how we were able to do it. But at the same time, we still do need certain subcontractors, and we work on educating them and how to kind of work within our platform and work with us.
That is very, very, very cool. Thank you very much for sharing that. I would have assumed that because of these, because of these innovation, that the permitting would actually be easier. But it's interesting to know that it actually was a little more complicated. Thank you very much for sharing that. And in
anything that's first is complicated. Complicated. If you do a first in anything, it's the first one is the toughest one, but it becomes easier as you go along.
Yeah, you're right on that. I did not actually take into account that, but yes, you're absolutely correct. Thank you very much for sharing that. I also wanted to ask about the other aspect, pretty much, which is about the consumers, about the buyers. How easy or difficult was it to actually bring this product to market? It's very innovative. People might be scared that it's not as efficient or as maybe as reliable, right? As a traditional house.
Well, I think for us, it was a bit easier because it's a self-selection bias. People who read about us because we are a sustainable company, and so they were already sustainability minded. So we were very fortunate to very early on get a lot of interest from sustainability minded consumers, and that's kind of what put us on the map. But right now as we're growing and the industry is growing, it needs to go into the mass market, into the main market. And that's what's happening right now. And that's why, we're really focused on educating the consumer as to why this type of technology is better and as to, how it's going to benefit them going forward.
That's amazing. It's a very unique pitch. I can imagine that the pitch for somebody to, for you to sell a house, this kind has to be very unique. Is it also unique when you were pitching for the first time to maybe an investor or maybe a funding house or something?
Even tougher with investors, actually, because
Really?
Traditional real estate investors are not used to experimentation. They're just used to building the same home over and over and counting, what is the lowest cost they can build it at and the most profit that they can make. With no incentive to really invest into research and development, invest into the future, because a lot of the times doing something first, you have to spend more money, you have to make an investment. And so we had to initially, as we started, we found kind of support from investors who were interested in that change specifically. And going forward, I think the larger investment community is also starting to really look into it and realize that it is an opportunity. It may not be an immediate opportunity to make the most money, but as the industry is changing, being at the forefront of that change really pays long term. And that's what we're hoping for here, because we have a long-term vision and we want to be part of this change and lead this change for many years to come.
That is incredible. I mean, I can imagine how probably real estate is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the expert, but probably one of the oldest, least changing industries there can be. So this such disruptive community that you're building, I can imagine how difficult it actually was. So thank you very much for that. Now, I want to put myself in the position of a buyer. If I wanted to buy one of your houses, what would I need? How would I do it? Is there a waiting list? Are there some requirements that I have to meet? How does it work?
Absolutely. So our homes are listed with two premier brokers in California, Hilton and Highland from Beverly Hills, and Equity Forbes Global Properties from Coachella Valley. And so they're representing our sales. We actually just launched last week, and the first open houses will take place this coming weekend. So as far
Oh,
as kind of interest in our homes, the best way is to reach out either to us directly or to our brokers. Um, Equity Forbes Global Properties, they're the ones who are physically showing the homes here in Desert Hot Springs. And we're happy to kind of schedule individual showings or invite clients to open houses to continue kind of to start the discussion. But since we launched last week, we received significant interest already, and our agents just reported to us that they're in discussions on several contracts. So it's exciting. We can't wait to kind of for this community to really sell out and bring first homeowners and first occupants in, as soon as we can, because the first homes will be able to close in a month from now.
that's great! Congratulations on it being such a success. This is not the first community you build, so it's not right. The first community you build, you have three. You have Rancho Mirage, Desert Hot Springs, and La Quinta. Which was the
So
first?
Rancho Mirage is the second community. So this is actually the first community that we build as a company, as Palari.
Oh, okay.
Our team has combined over 100 years of building experience. So
Hmm.
our head of construction, our head of development have built many other things before. And so we come with a lot of experience, but as a company, building a sustainable community, I mean, it is the first in the world. So I guess it is a first community for us too.
It is the first for you. That is very very cool. Now I have already hijacked a little bit more of the time here for the interview, but I have to say it's been amazing. It seems like there are no questions from the audience right now, so there's no problem with that. We're pretty sure there are gonna be a bunch of questions. As the days go by, this is gonna be public. This interview is gonna be live. Before I jump into the last question that I have for you, Basil, because I have a very important question for you. I just wanted to let everybody watching that please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. You'll find it interesting. We launch interviews every single week. We launch episodes every single week with people just as interesting and companies just as amazing as Basil and Palari. Basil, before I let you go, I have one very important question for you. You already mentioned, early in the interview, you have experience in real estate, supply chain, and probably the one that has impacted your life the most, you correct me if I'm wrong, entrepreneurship, right? You built this company just as you build houses. What advice do you have for any young entrepreneur out there, any young person interested maybe in hardware, in real estate, building something of their own? What advice do you have for this young person?
I would suggest focusing on sustainability and technology. So first of all, sustainability is a mega trend that is transforming all industries and our lives. And for somebody starting out today, it's very important to understand, what that means. The various methods and processes, and how can a company become sustainable? How can certain type of business and industry become sustainable? Because that is something that will be happening over the next 20, 30 years and beyond. And I think people from older generation, have not had that discussion before, and they haven't really looked at sustainability and decarbonization, and that is really, unfortunately, that's the old school thinking that we're challenging currently. And with sustainability, what can make a biggest change is technology. So technology can help improve things and make things more sustainable. So I look at the intersection of technology and sustainability. How can technology improve sustainability of things? And no matter what industry you're in, I think if you look at it through that lens, it's going to be very important in terms of a career, in terms of a potential business for an entrepreneur. So I would recommend that.
Thank you very much for that. You've already heard the expert in sustainability. Go ahead and shake that hand between sustainability and technology. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Basil, for joining us today. I can vouch for anybody who's been watching that this is an amazing episode. Like getting to see live your houses, very cool. It was very, very cool. Thank you very much for that. Where can we find you? Where can we find you and Palari? Do you have any social media handles?
Absolutely. So it's our website, Palari.com. We're also on Instagram as Palari Group and on LinkedIn as well.
That's perfect. You go ahead and follow them. I can vouch that their website is just out of this world. Palari's website is incredible. Thank you very much, Basil. Everybody, remember that you can find more information, interesting articles, and more interviews, of course, directly on our website, controlhub.com/builder-nation. We're currently switching to a brand new website, which is going to be called buildernation.io. Go ahead and check them out, please. We're going to love to hear from you. Thank you very much again for joining us. Basil, thank you for being part of this community. And everybody, we're going to be seeing you on the next episode.
Thank you, Sam. Have a great day.
When building the future is your priority, tedious procurement processes should be last on your list. The problem is that purchasing data is scattered across spreadsheets, receipts, emails, and messages. Tracking it all sucks and makes it easy to commit mistakes. Introducing the Control Hub Way, the all-in-one purchasing software for hardware companies. Buying parts, services, or office supplies? Submit a quick purchase request to buy from your list of approved vendors, or buy from a new provider. Buying from approved vendors is even easier. Import your shopping cart directly into your purchase request using our checkout integrations. When the order is ready, submit it for approval. We'll ping all pre-designated approvers both via Control Hub's website, email, and Slack notifications for a faster turnaround. If you need a PO, we got you. Generate it in one click. Online purchase? Boom, virtual card. Do an automatic 3-way match, pay invoices, and sync everything live with QuickBooks or NetSuite. Purchasing just got a lot easier. Control Hub. Get back to building.